Hey everyone. Okay, now this video has been a long time in the making. I have a lot of things that I want to say. I do love Marvel as a franchise. I mean, personally, I prefer DC, but I'm a little bit of a nerd. I got a Spider-Man shirt on right now, okay? And I seen this video a long time ago. Let's see when it was posted. 11 months, so it's almost been a year since I saw this video. So in this video, we're going to be going over a video by a guy named Turf Nation. And in this video, he talks about why the MCU theory is wrong. Now, if you guys are unfamiliar with what the MCU theory is, I'm sure he's going to explain it in this video. I haven't seen it in a really long time, like I said, a year. Basically, the MCU theory is that it's not that they think women are the problem or something like that. It's not a sexist ideology or belief. It's actually that they think that women are being pandered to, and they purposely make them stronger, and they show that they have no flaws and that they're perfect in compared to their male counterpart just because they're a woman. And it makes the characters less relatable and believable and honestly just not as good. They're trying to make the women seem so much stronger than the men in an incomprehensible amount that makes the men feel like they're weak. And that's not really a good idea for either group of people, and people don't like that. They feel pandered to, like I'm saying. So we're going to just go ahead and watch this guy's video where he tries to debunk that theory, like it says, and we're going to talk about it because I have a lot of things to say.
We talked about the MCU and the ever-growing toxicity within the fandom, specifically the hate and anger geared towards the women of the MCU.
I do think that there are a lot of weirdos out there who don't like women for no reason, and for that, I can't agree with you. But, we're going to continue.
Let's begin. So Nerderotic is someone we've talked about before, and he is, in my opinion, the person currently leading this woman-centered attack on the MCU. I don't know if he coined this term, but I've definitely seen it used the most by him, but he refers to the MCU as the MCU, which is very creative and obviously pokes fun at how there are more and more female characters coming into the MCU, which is a very bad thing. It's a horrible, life-threatening, apocalyptic...
Like I said, is it fair to call somebody a woman hater just because they don't like a character? No. You wouldn't call somebody racist just because they don't like one character of that race. You wouldn't call somebody homophobic just because they don't like a character that is gay. It's not fair to that person. I don't know this guy and I don't know his beliefs, and it's very possible maybe he doesn't like women, but I don't feel like that's fair to label somebody as that if you have no proof of that. I think that that's a crazy bold assumption and statement for this guy to make about Nerdstalgic. Let's continue the video.
Trend that's ruining the movie industry as we know it. It's exactly the same as how people of color are coming into our lands and killing off the white race. At least that's what I imagine these sound like inside their own heads. That was a...
Wow. I don't know this guy's politics or his beliefs, but that is a crazy comparison. It sounds like this guy is trying to call Nerdstalgic a racist, which... I don't know if that's true either, but that's a crazy assumption for you to just come to based off of the fact that he doesn't like the way that women are portrayed in movies now.
Of course, satire people don't take it seriously. However, let's look at some examples.
Oh, it's satire, so let's not take slander of a person's character seriously.
Nerderotic retweeted this picture and wrote his famous quote. It'll probably be on his tombstone at this point, but it's a photo of Valkyrie and Jane Foster in the upcoming Thor movie, which I'm personally very excited about. However, he apparently isn't because he's scared.
Now, looking back at this retrospectively, we all know that that movie was not so good, okay? So I think that Nerderotic was onto something, okay? I don't think that he was too far off the mark.
Scared of women in positions of power. He also tweeted this of him being angry that there are new female characters in pictures next to the fan favorite male characters that we all love.
Okay, let's talk about that. So we see the Loki show, and we see that Sylvie, the female Loki, is better than Loki in every single way, and he becomes a sad sap of the character that he once was. That is a good point that Nerderotic has. Kate Bishop. I don't know if I can agree about Kate Bishop, but I do see the trend of making female characters in the show. I do kind of like the Hawkeye show, and I do think it was done well. I don't feel like that was too much of an MCU moment. I feel like that was pretty well done. I feel like Kate Bishop, she might have been talented and strong, but I don't feel like there were moments where she was, saving Hawkeye or better than Hawkeye in any shape or form. Ant-Man and the Wasp, though? Absolutely. I don't know what the top left thing is, but, I'm trying to remember. I don't know what that is. But, I mean, I feel like that's the craziest statement to assume just based off of a picture.
This is so fucking woke. Please, if you can figure out why he's upset, let me know down in the comments because I'm at a complete loss. Oh, and a throwback to the photo of Jane Foster because here he shows why he's actually upset at that photo. He likes it when women are objects for him to look at, and hey, there's nothing wrong with finding a man or a woman or anyone else hot. Human attraction.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about that in a quick second. I'm not going to show that on the screen because it's scantily clad women in Thor cosplay. I'm pretty sure that that guy was joking, and even if he wasn't, that's a weird belief and that's a weird opinion, but that's not the point of what he's talking about. Even if he has a hypocritical belief, or even if he's weird in some sort of way, which I don't know, so I feel like that's pretty unfair of you to assume that about somebody, but it seemed like a joke to me, and even if it wasn't, you can't just throw out everything else he said out the window about that.
Action is completely natural. However, this is just weird, especially because these types of people always go on and on about how it's unrealistic that women in superhero movies or just fictional movies in general are super strong but don't have massive muscles. And while this is a stupid argument,
now I'm not saying he's never said that, but I've never heard him say that, and I don't think this guy has either. I think he's just coming up to conclusions on his own.
On its own, it gets even more
on its
stupid
own.
when they
Okay.
say shit like this. I understand now that he just doesn't care about female characters unless they show a lot of skin, and don't try to do anything that could take away from the male character's spotlight. However, let's look at some.
Wait, however, so you're moving on from that point? That's, again, a crazy assumption to make about this guy. I'm not saying he's a great guy. I don't know him, okay? I don't know much about him. I don't really watch his videos. I've watched a few of them, and he actually had some pretty good points from what I understand. Now, that is an insane assumption to just assume that he only likes women that are showing their bodies off. That's really strange of you to think that based off of somebody's reaction. Obviously, he was joking from what I understand. And the fact that you couldn't see through that and call it a joke when you earlier said something crazy attack on his character but said it was satire. Is this satire too? It doesn't sound like it.
Of course, satire people don't take it seriously. However, some examples from his YouTube videos, and oh boy, it's hard to choose when there's so many bangers such as Disney panics, Obi-Wan Kenobi is awful, or Female Thor, Love and Thunder, more cringe MCU bait and switch from Disney Marvel.
Okay, the Kenobi show was not good, and also he's right about that female lead character. Then we look at this thumbnail right here. Yeah, it's just clickbait, YouTuber, whatever, right? Okay, let's read the title. Female Thor, Love and Thunder, more cringe MCU bait and switch from Disney Marvel. Now, if you guys haven't seen the movie already, I'm not going to say no spoilers ahead, because there is spoilers, and also it's not even good, so you don't have to watch it. Basically what happens in that movie is Thor at the last second gets saved from Jane Foster, who has cancer, and she dies, but she still saves the day. And Thor's supposed to be the super strong, manly character who saves the universe, but then he gets one-upped by a woman who just became Thor. She just became Thor, and somehow she's stronger than him? Doesn't make sense. She has cancer. She shouldn't be stronger than him. She shouldn't be able to save him. She shouldn't be able to do that. It just doesn't make sense. But it's, once again, it's because she's a woman character she's able to do that. Now, from what I understand, I don't think that women like to just be portrayed as stronger than men for no reason. I mean, yes, women can be stronger than men, and men can be stronger than women. But if a man is here in his physical strength and he's fighting a bad guy, and then a woman has cancer, what? That doesn't have anything to do with gender anymore. That has to do with the fact that this woman should not be physically strong enough to fight Gore or whatever his name is. I don't like it when characters do that. It's not about the man or the woman aspect of it. It's I see in Moon Knight. Moon Knight, the character, Stephen Grant, okay, he's fighting the main bad guy, and he's fighting this guy, okay, and he's like, yeah, what's up, let's go, and then he gets his butt handed to him, okay? For lack of better phrasing, he loses very poorly. Then the female character, and she comes in and she saves the day. It's supposed to be, so from the story, the main character fails, okay? From every story that has ever existed, the main character fails, gets out of his comfort zone, goes on a journey, and then succeeds and fights the final enemy or the final hurdle or obstacle, and then at that point they get over it. Doesn't have to be a man, it doesn't have to be a woman, it has to be our main character. Now the main character in this movie is Thor. He goes to the end and he's supposed to overcome the bad guy that beat him earlier, but he doesn't. Instead, whatever her name, Jane Foster, but defeats Gore instead, and that's not good though. Because it's supposed to be about Thor, and if it's supposed to be about Jane Foster, Why didn't we just follow Jane Foster instead of Thor?
I love how they're calling it Disney Marvel, as if Disney hasn't owned the MCU since the beginning. And how could I forget, Doctor Strange 2 is an unmitigated MCU disaster. But for now I want to
That is true.
quickly show you some clips from this video titled Moon Knight is another Disney Marvel disaster. And let's just watch the first 30 seconds of this video to see how he starts his totally not biased review of Moon Knight.
Bob Chapek bumbling, the groomers grappling, and the stock sinking. Disney Marvel needed a hit. Unfortunately, they didn't get one. What if I told you Disney Marvel did it again? Another bait and switch. Our hero in the Moon Knight show not only got her own origin story, but she got her own hero moment as she saved our titular character Moon Knight twice in his own finale.
I'm just saying, I don't know this guy's politics. I don't know this guy's beliefs. But you hear what I'm saying? That's exactly what I said. Like, exactly what I said. So, you already know I agree with that.
At least he's not hiding his reasons for not liking this show. That's pretty cool. We don't even have to go digging to find the sexism.
What sexism? It's not the fact that it's a woman. I know he said hero, but the point was that she's a female character and she's stronger. Not because she should be stronger, but just for the simple fact of her being a woman in the MCU. She's made as stronger. That doesn't make sense. If it was a male character, okay, if it was a male character and not a female, and he saved the main hero in his own finale, you would be like, why did he save him? It's his finale. Shouldn't Moon Knight be the guy to beat the bad guy? But because it's a female, now he's sexist for saying that. See, the problem that comes with this, though, the issue that comes with this like level of thinking that any sort of criticism against something that isn't what you are is ism or phobic, is that then you can't criticize anything that should be criticized. Like, it doesn't make sense for me. Like, for example, the Velma show. Am I a brown girl? No, I am not. But can I say the show is bad? Yes, I can. Am I racist? Am I sexist? Or do I just have an opinion? Do I think that they excuse people of things that they shouldn't just because of that character's gender or race? Yes, I do. I think that if it was a male, and honestly, this is my belief. I believe that if it was a male character that saved Moon Knight at the end of the show, people wouldn't be rioting in the streets. They would just be confused and be like, that doesn't make sense. And you wouldn't be called sexist because it'd be a male character. But because it's a woman, now we're calling them sexist because they have a problem with the way that the story was written. It's pandering, okay? It's pandering. If you don't believe that the Marvel Cinematic Universe does pandering, look at this Eternals image. Look at this image from Eternals right now. I'm going to throw it up on screen. Okay, look at this image. Try to tell me that this is not pandering at the finest extent. They didn't have to make the white guy evil, but they did. And I'm not saying there's a problem with that. But I am saying that they had to make every other character a good guy and had to include every single race, a disability, and the LGBT all in one roster of heroes. I'm not saying that I'm against diversity because that would be crazy. But I am saying that if you're just making a character gay just to make them gay, if you're making a character black just to make them black, if you're making a character a woman just to make them woman, if you're making a character a man just to make them a man, if you're making a character white just to make them white, if you're making a character straight just to make them straight, doesn't matter. It's pandering. You shouldn't. For example, I personally believe that the 2018 Black Panther movie featuring Chadwick Boseman should not have had a white Americanized character. That didn't make sense to me. Why was he in the movie? The movie had little to do with him. I felt like the movie would have been better without him. They didn't need to have a white character. It doesn't make sense that a movie for the black community had to have a white character in there. They joked around, they called him colonizer and blah, 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 blah. But he didn't even need to be in the movie. They just wanted him in there. I don't know why they did that. Who was that for? Nobody wanted that. If people were racist, they weren't going to see the Black Panther movie. Duh.
No, but honestly, no self-respecting movie reviewer spends this much energy counting the times a woman saves a man, has to mention diversity when it comes up, and calls a female character bad just because she's female without actually explaining why her character is bad except for the word bland.
Not only does Conchu want her to be
I'm not even going to break down why that's just a bad point. You guys know.
his next avatar, Tawadi wants her too. She doesn't need to be an avatar for any god or goddess. She is a fierce, independent woman. I mean, aside from the fact that she's an uninteresting Marvel female person actor, I forgot, Layla not only saves Moon Knight a couple of times this episode, she saves Conchu, who immediately wants her as his avatar. Of course, she says no. Forget all that because we're here for the Scarlet Scarab origin story. Now, the Scarlet Scarab is a villain from an Invaders comic from the 70s. He was originally a dude, but this is the MCU, so of course they gender swap him into Hawk Girl, who again saves Stephen Grant and Mark Spector.
Which I have no problem with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with gender swapping a character or race swapping. There's no problem with that. But there becomes a problem when you make the female character stronger than the male character just because she's a female. And that's the problem that I have. And I think that's the problem that Nerdrotic has too.
Multiple times, Moon Knight at least 2 times in this episode, and frees Conchu. Oh, there's one more. She also is the one who knows how to re-imprison Amit.
The power of this room will help us bind Amit.
Diversity in a cast does matter. It's really cool and powerful for people of different personalities and nationalities and characteristics to be represented on the screen. Character with autism, that's cool. How awesome is that to be autistic and have a superhero that's just like you? How awesome is it to have a superhero that's a Native American and see them on screen? Or how awesome is it to see a multicultural character on screen? That's great. People like having somebody that they can look up to that is like them. Not everybody is going to resonate with a character just because they're that race, though, or just because they're that gender, or just because they have that disability, or just because of anything. You need to make a character that is in itself relatable and grounded as a character, and then you can make that character whatever race or gender. You shouldn't be worried about making a character gay for the gay community or a character woman for feminists. You should be worried about making that character a good character, and then if you want somebody for these people to look up to, then you can worry about diversity and inclusion. Having inclusion and diversity is extremely important. But bad diversity and inclusion is bad because that's pandering. And if it's done wrong, then you will look really, really bad. And this guy is not only defending pandering, he's not defending real diversity.
Quick, grab my hand so we can start the spell.
Like, how does he not hear that he sounds like a whiny child who feels threatened that women can be good at things? It's not like Mark and
That's not what
Steven
he's saying.
are still the main characters who have so many great character moments, and yes,
They really don't.
while it may not be like how it is in the comics, their story still works really well
Not
for this show.
Not everything needs to be like how it was in the comics to be good. Some comics suck, okay? Sorry, comic book nerds. Actually, they're all amazing. No, not every comic book is good, okay? And it's okay for a show to take creative liberties or a movie to take creative liberties from the comic books. Because if it's exactly like the comics, why watch it? Just read the comic book. So it's good that there are differences. But if the differences are bad, then it's not good.
And if you don't think
Duh.
that that's the case, and explain why you think that instead of just crying about how it's a bait and switch. Yes, Stephen Grant in this show is a bit of a loser in the beginning. That's the point.
Fine. That's
He's
good.
not as badass, ruthless, or effective as Mark is. However,
He's not supposed to
Stephen
be.
is compassionate, he's intelligent, he's nerdy,
That's
but he's
true.
also brave when it comes down to it. They're
That's
two
good.
sides of the same coin.
This guy actually brought up a great point. He is. He's supposed to be the main character, and at the end of the movie, he's supposed to have his what? Main character moment and beat the bad guy, but the female sidekick does it instead.
Or maybe a three-sided dice. But they don't know that yet, of course. However, Mark and Steven are absolutely the main stars of this show, and yes, Layla is a great side character in my opinion, because obviously a show needs multiple characters. I really can't take this video seriously because we know full well that his motivation to make this video is to further his own agenda against this supposed MCU, to call out Marvel's agenda, and of course get sucked off by his leeches who are frightened by the existence of women. I also saw this video by the Critical Drinker in which he breaks down why he thinks Marvel is messing up and how they're building up Miss Marvel. However, just keep in mind that he made this video when only the trailer had released. This is the thing that annoys me about
And I hate to say it, but the Critical Drinker was correct in his analysis and assumptions based off of the character. Is it fair for you to look at a trailer and see something and say, yeah, I don't think I want to see that? Yes, it is. Do you know why? Because it's a trailer. What is a trailer supposed to do? It's supposed to show you something from the next movie or the next show that is coming out, and then you look at that, and it's supposed to be good and pull you in and entice you to want to see it. If I didn't know anything about a movie, nothing at all, what makes me want to see it? What makes me want to spend time and my money to go to a movie theater and pay for a ticket and sit down for hours at a time, or sit down and watch a TV show for hours and hours at a time that I have no idea if it's going to be good or not? Trailers are supposed to show you, is this good or is this bad? Now, if you think it's bad, you're entitled to your opinion. And I don't feel like it's fair to just assume somebody is racist, homophobic, or sexist because they don't agree with something. That doesn't make sense.
The critical drinker, because he's not actually a bad film critic. His
He's
videos
not.
can be interesting and insightful.
They
He
can
definitely
be.
structures his reviews and builds them up in a way that allows for claims and argumentation.
I
Way
agree.
more so than his fandom and his friends do. However, he just
Maybe that's
can't
true.
help but infuse his reviews with his reactionary ideology. And yes, he has every right to do this, but I don't agree with his
does.
politics, and I think he could do so much better, so I
You don't have to agree with anybody's politics. That's the great part of freedom of speech. But I do think it is wrong for you to assume that Nerdrotic is a sexist and possibly a racist. Just because you don't agree with his take, you're going to call him out on like that or say that about him. That is hypocritical of you to do, and I don't believe that that is fair of you.
call him out for it. But for example, in this video he starts off by giving his take on why Iron Man worked so well in the MCU, and it's interesting. However, then he goes on to look at how Ms. Marvel has neither of the properties that made Tony Stark great, based
It
only
doesn't.
off the trailer. And listen, I'm fine with speculation, but I think this is just a bit
And he
too
was right.
obvious what his intentions are. The thing is, the critical drinker probably isn't the intended audience for this show. Not everything Marvel makes needs to be for everyone. Don't get me wrong, adults can absolutely enjoy media made for younger audiences.
And I'll tell you something right now. I know Pakistani people, actually, believe it or not, and a lot of them do not like this movie, show. Doesn't matter if it's the intended audience or not. That's the same thing of saying, well, it was for kids, so it doesn't matter if it's bad. So do the kids need to watch something that's bad too? Okay, if I want to sit down and watch a kid's movie in the future when I have a kid, I want the movie to be good, not just for me, but for my kid. I want them to watch something that's quality content. I'm not going to just sit them in front of drywall for 2 hours. So why would I put them in front of a movie that's not good? That doesn't make sense to me.
If you don't resonate with the story or characters, then maybe that's okay. Kamala Khan
It is
doesn't
okay.
need to be like Tony Stark to be a great hero or a
That's
great
true.
character, and more importantly, a character that resonates.
You don't need to be like that, but was she a great character and a great hero? If you think so, that's fine. But we know she wasn't, bro. I'm sorry. We know she wasn't.
With a lot of people. But to make a deep character dissection based on a trailer is almost idiotic, especially when you know that this show is going to be unfairly judged by so many people before.
That's true. That's true, and I think it was. This show was not for everybody, and that's okay, and that's true. But if you completely exclude people and you completely make the movie not for them at all, it's one thing to make something specifically for this group of people, but everybody can enjoy it. That's why there's a lot of great kids movies. Oh, this movie is meant for kids, but it can still be enjoyed by adults and other people, like Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I love that show, and it is a kids show. But people say it's not because it's so compelling and well written and well animated.
Or even coming out, just because it's a superhero show about a Muslim teenage girl. I just don't like the way he's framing this video, and I see it as part of this growing trend going against, as they call it, Disney Marvel. Let's just watch a clip.
Does that... Now think about this for a second. Did the critical drinker say something bad about Muslim people or brown girls in that review? I don't think so. I watched the video before and I'm not familiar with him saying that. And if he did, whoa, oh my gosh. But I don't think he said that. So your brain went to that. That means that when you heard somebody say something bad about Miss Marvel, you just assumed it was because she was Muslim or because she's a brown girl. Not maybe this show isn't good. Maybe this trailer isn't that great. Maybe this character isn't awesome. It's because she's brown, huh? Because that's what you're looking at. You're looking at the world through a racial lens. That's what it sounds like to me.
from the video and you can form your own opinion about him.
The difference here is that Steve's ambitions were born out of a desire to help people, serve his country, and make a difference to the world.
Sounds true.
He didn't volunteer to become Captain America so he could become powerful, desirable, and famous.
That's true.
He did it because it was the only way he could fight for what he believed in. But with Kamala, there's no real higher goal or desperate situation forcing her to pull herself up to be something better. Her origin is one of envy, jealousy, avarice, and self-serving ambition. Just fame for fame's sake. It's the same kind of mentality that makes millions of vacuous, untalented kids flock to TikTok,
Because they
or
think
even
they
worse,
deserve to be famous.
YouTube.
Well, that's... Yeah, I mean, come on now.
All
I feel like
desperately
that's pretty
trying
fair.
to catch that wave of fame and success, because the terrifying prospect that their lives might not be anything particularly special is like sunlight to a fucking ginger person.
I really just wish he'd lean more into the things that he's actually good at, because he does have interest.
But I feel like that was a fair take, though. Captain America was a well-written and good character. Was the movie good? No, the movie wasn't good. Was he right about what he said about Kamala Khan? Yes, he was right. From the trailer. Isn't that crazy? You can watch a trailer for a show and decide maybe this isn't good.
Things to say. He just also has some really problematic things to say too, and I think his fanbase gobbles that shit up, so he can't help but make more of that content. Anyways, enough with the examples, let's dive into a little discussion on this whole situation with the MCU. Now, the argument that why can't they make original female characters instead of having to turn male characters female is a statement where I see at least some resemblance of a relevant argument. I don't agree, but it is true that we're getting a female Thor, a female Hulk, a female Loki, a female Black Panther, and we've previously gotten a female Iron Man. Now, some of these are ridiculous to get mad at, like Pepper Potts and Black Panther. I mean, War Machine is also just another Iron Man by that logic. Like, there are multiple suits. They aren't what makes the hero. And also the Black...
Yeah, but when the character is bland and the character has little personality, why do they need a suit? See, that doesn't make sense to me. I'm not against Pepper Potts having an Iron Man suit. It logically makes sense. And she's not the main focus of the story either. And that's the cool thing. Let's say that a character is blind. Like Toph, right? I love this character. Toph is a great character. Do I have to be blind in order to resonate with her? No, I don't. Does a woman have to be a man to resonate with a man's character? Can she understand some of his struggles? Yeah. Yeah, she can. Does she have to be a man? No. Woman does not have to see a woman and resonate with her because she's a woman. If the character already exists and you're just race swapping them, or you're just gender swapping them, or you're just adding a disability, why not just make a new character at that point that people can look up to? Because, like I said, I don't have to be blind to resonate with Toph. I don't have to be a woman to like Wonder Woman. A man doesn't have to be a woman to like a character that's a woman. And a woman does not have to be a man to like a character that is a man. That's not fair to that group of people. They deserve something new.
Panther is a title given, it's not T'Challa's by right, it just goes to the next one. However, I do understand the annoyance that some people have that a lot of female characters being made are just the female versions of already established male characters. However, this is an argument I see way more from actual feminists or people who truly care about...
Right. Women deserve a real character that they can resonate with and feel, you know?
Female representation. A lot of women don't want to see themselves as just the opposite version of a man. All people are
That's
unique,
true.
so why can't women in media also be unique
That's
and
very
have their
true.
own
That's my exact
personalities and
point.
character flaws?
Right.
That's at least the sound argument and one that I absolutely understand. It's the same argument as with token characters. People don't like when representation is just used to market a film or TV show, but then those diverse
That's true.
characters are incredibly shallow and fall too much into stereotypes.
That's exactly
also
true.
a reasonable thing
This
to
is
get mad at.
good
However,
point.
pretty much all of these anti-SJWs and reactionaries online who make this argument that they don't want female versions of the same character, but would love original and unique female characters, they're the same people who shit on pretty much every new and original female hero that comes out of Marvel. And when I say original, I don't mean that they're made for the MCU,
Can you give an
but rather
example?
not something like She-Hulk. But literally anytime a female character does anything sort of good in one of these properties, instead of being just a love interest or damsel in distress, then these people fucking cry and scream about it. Oh, Layla
Like,
from
give
Moon
an
Knight fights off a monster and saves Mark and a couple...
Isn't Layla from Moon Knight just a bland version of Moon Knight?
occasions. That's woke. Oh, and when Captain Marvel does something really powerful, who by the way is clearly shown to be extremely powerful, and we've even shown how she got those powers, then they still cry about it. If Kate Bishop knows martial
I don't know about that one. Captain Marvel's character just sucked.
arts after 12 years of practice, then it's still a Mary Sue moment. Bro,
I don't agree with that. I think Kate Bishop was the best done.
Miss Marvel hadn't even come out yet, and some of these people still made videos shitting on the show.
And I get what he's trying to say. I do get his point. But I also think it's unfair to just assume everybody that doesn't agree with something is phobic or ism or something like that.
And we all know the reason why. Also, just FYI, all these characters like Jane Foster, She-Hulk, they're mostly all well-established heroes in the comics. Like, even though I understand the arguments,
Okay, so if they're well-established characters in the comics, then why can't we get a well-thought and well-designed and well-crafted character in the movies? If they have so much story and so much integrity and so well done, why can't we have them be well done in the movies? I would not be against She-Hulk being a major character if she was a good character.
some people have towards them, they're still good characters and they have distinct personalities.
Okay, but they're not built up in the movies is the problem. They're built up in comic books. We're not talking about comic books, are we? I doubt that these guys don't like these female characters just because they're female characters. I doubt the fact. I think they don't like the movie versions of them. And maybe that's not true, and maybe they do hate these characters. If so, that's their opinion. I don't agree with that, but I've never heard them say that, and this guy hasn't showed any example of that either, so it's irrational to assume that.
However, another common trend that I've seen is that these people refer back to older heroines from the classics, such as Princess Leia, Ellen Ripley.
She was cool.
You know,
Cool.
those badass women from the good old
Awesome.
days.
Well
However, they're
written.
not fooling anyone. We all know that if those movies had been made today, then these plebs would get angry all the same. Now, I'm not going to
And how are we to assume that? How do you know that that would happen? You don't. You don't know that that would happen.
make the age-old mistake of implying that these people hate all women, because I'm certain that they love women. Well, at least women who they find attractive and who aren't trying to be successful. However, they also sure
That's an
do
attack on that guy's character, by the way.
have a negative bias towards women, because no one who acts like this doesn't in some way have unattended to feelings of contempt, fear, hatred even. I don't know, there could be a lot of reasons, but I often get people telling me, actually you're wrong. My adoptive dad doesn't hate women, because he liked Vi from Arcane. So your argument is completely false. They don't hate women, they just hate wokeness and how women are always thrown down our faces. Keep women out of my media, but also I'm not sexist. That's pretty much
I never heard any of these people say, keep women out of my media. And if they have, like I said, I don't agree with that. But if they did, I distance myself from those statements and claims. Where's this guy getting this information from?
how it goes. And I don't think it's very telling that the best argument I've heard towards the critical drinker not having a problem with women is that he liked Vi from Arcane. That doesn't really explain why he gets pissy and annoyed so often when women are at the forefront in anything. Brie Larson. Anyways,
Okay. If I watched a movie that was all female cast and everybody was written well and it was well directed and everything was amazing, and they just added a male character in there and they made the male character stronger than all the women, not physically but in every single way, I'd be like, why do that? The movie isn't about him. He's not even a main character. He's a side character. You guys, if you guys got to understand, if the roles were reversed, people would be upset, right? You would be upset, right? Like I said, Kate Bishop is well done. She was an archer for a long time. It makes sense that she'd be a good archer, but she's not better than Hawkeye. Okay, the Hulk in the She-Hulk movie, he's been the Hulk for a very long time. He's more talented, he's more skilled. You know, it took him a long time to, relieve himself from his anger and stress and control his emotions and problems. Then She-Hulk comes along and says, well, I'm better at it because I'm a woman.
So I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you.
What? It's not about the fact that you're a woman. It's about the fact that he's had to do training and he's more talented with it because it's not talent, it's skill that he's worked for and built up for himself. That's not good characters. That's not good writing. That's not good anything.
I feel like I've been rambling a lot this video. At the end of the day, Marvel will keep introducing
Chatterbox.
more female characters into the MCU, and
that's
these
fine.
people will keep whining about it. As always, I'm not trying to insinuate that you can't criticize the MCU, because you absolutely can. Perhaps people
Sounds
will
like it.
disagree with you and challenge you on your reasons, but that's part of what makes disagreeing so much fun. I think people like Nerdrotic are attention-seeking, agenda-driven, women-fearing, reactionary chuds who hate on so many of the things that other people like, and they like to make being a fan of something miserable for other people. See, some people will agree with that assessment, others will disagree, and
I think that's true, actually. You're going to say, what? I think that's true. I don't know if he is, but I know that there are a lot of male reviewers out there who just make videos for their audience because they know there's just a bunch of angry men out there that don't actually like or care about women. Do I think that's fair of you to say that about his character? No. But do I get what you're saying? Yes. It's just journalism in video format. Okay, journalists are going to say, oh, this and this happened because it's successful, it gets sales, it gets people in the paper. That's what they do. It's the same thing, just digitally. It's just clickbait. What is clickbait? It's so that you can get more attention and you get more clicks and views. This is people's jobs. Of course they're going to report on it. I mean, yeah, he probably, not him, but maybe some people do that where they make videos and they know that weird people are going to watch it and be like, yeah, dude, women suck. And if they do, that's bad. Okay, I'm not disagreeing and saying that that's a good thing. But I am saying it's not fair of you to label that guy as something when you don't really know his intentions, his beliefs, or motivations. And from what I'm seeing, he hasn't said anything wrong. From at least that stuff, okay?
that's the beauty of freedom, baby. So go on and let me know what you think down in the comments. I'm excited for this one. If you enjoyed the video, then don't forget to follow me on Twitter.
I do understand his points. I do get what he's saying. But I think that it's an unfair assessment to throw out everything in the window because there's a possibility somebody might be making a video that is, you know, you can't just say, well, this guy has no good points because he thinks this way. If that was the case, we would not have any presidents, okay? Every single person says something that we might not agree with, but it doesn't mean that all of their takes are wrong? No. And does that mean that you can really understand where everybody's motivations and intentions come from one thing that they've said? No. So let's go into the comments and then let's see what some people said. We're going to move ourselves to the side here. I'm going to read all of them. Empowering women is great. I agree. But when it's done at the expense of established male characters, it becomes a farcical insult. If we can't be empowered on our own merits, what's the point? This was written by what I assume is a female. That is a very good point. Characters need to be organic. We need to feel them. We need to see their highs and lows. They should be relatable. They should be shown strong through their decisions and actions, how they overcome their challenges, not like MCU now does with their female characters. They are strong because they insult everybody around them. Really? Then these characters need some therapy or something. Well, bro, it's okay to make strong female characters, but they also kill or nerf male characters. That's true. The problem I have is that when they take a character like Thor, and he's a great character, he's awesome, okay? You know, he's not my favorite character. Guess who he was? My mom's favorite character. What? I know, but Thor can be awesome and not have to come down here for a woman to shine. Thor is nerfed, like that guy said, which basically means that they took a character and dumbed him down, and they did that to him to put Jane Foster higher. Isn't that an insult to women characters, including Jane Foster? Do we really need to make a man dumber in order to compete with a female? I don't think so. I think that a female character should be strong enough to compete with a male character. You don't need to make somebody weaker or not as good or not as cool to compete with somebody else. You should just make that character cool on its own. We also want to see many female heroes on the big screen, but Disney Marvel doesn't know how to do it. I like DC Wonder Woman a lot. Imagine if they had Superman in it and made him look stupid and weak just to show that Wonder Woman is better. So guys, I've been recording for about an hour. I had a lot to say, and this is going to be a monster to edit. If you guys did enjoy this, please like and subscribe. Tell me what you guys want to see next. Tell me your opinions, your reviews, your whatever in the comment section. I am interested to hear what you guys have to say. Maybe if I'm lucky, this guy will make a video about me next. See you in the next one. Peace. That was for a thumbnail.